Hey guys, you're watching CANRUSH. My name is John.
My name is Eva.
First off, we gotta say a huge thank you. There are 100,000 of you now. It's crazy. We did not expect to have so many subscribers so quickly. Thank you. Thank you for subscribing. If you're not yet subscribed, please subscribe. Today we're going to talk a little bit about our Eurotrip. We recently finished a trip by car around Europe. If you missed it, there will be links in the description to a playlist of videos from the trip. We want to share some fun facts with you, some numbers, how much money we spent, and answer a few of your questions. If you don't know by chance, before this Eurotrip, we did a trip around the world. We hitchhiked for 2.5 years, visited 33 countries and 5 continents. But we didn't visit Western Europe, and a lot of you have asked, why didn't you go here? Why didn't you go there? Well, of course, if you do a trip around the world, it doesn't mean you visit every single country. That is
Almost 200.
very, very difficult, and it takes longer than 2.5 years usually. But there's a few reasons that we didn't go to Western Europe first, and one of the reasons is that we figured that Western Europe culture is closer to our culture, so like it's like less exotic, maybe, like less change, less new things. Although of course there are differences all over. Another one of the reasons is that Western Europe is more expensive than most places in the world, especially Asia and Africa, South America, Central America. So there are some exceptions, of course, but that was one of the reasons to keep our costs down, because we had a very limited budget.
The third reason, we knew that we plan to live in Moscow, so to go to Europe is very easy.
Yeah.
There are lots of flights and it's very affordable, and it's very easy to go to Europe. And also many people, they go to Europe, but not many people go to Mongolia, for example. So when we were thinking which way we should go, we decided, okay, let's go to the east and let's go to Mongolia, China, and then we will see.
Yeah. And we kind of always had this dream that someday we'll drive around Europe. There's so many countries and you don't even need to show your passport at the borders usually. It's just there's no passport control, and there's different cultures, etc. I guess we'll get a little bit more into that, but we for some reason we imagined that it would be someday in the future, which is probably not a very good thing to do in general. If you really have a dream and you want to do it, then you should just do it now.
Yeah.
And we thought, well, we're here now in Moscow. It's so close. Like, when are we going to drive around Europe? When we're living in Canada or in Brazil or something? Like, fly to Europe and rent a car or buy a car. It just made it much more complicated, so we decided to just do it now.
In the end, we traveled for 47 days through 15 countries, including Russia. And this time we didn't hitchhike. We traveled by car. And it was very, very nice.
That was really nice that we had a vehicle available, so we used Eva's mom's car, and it's a different experience when you travel by land than if you fly, even by a car versus like a train, because you see the road, like you're always looking out the window, and you get a different like perspective for distances. Like when we've traveled from Moscow to the south of India by land, you kind of like imagine distances like differently. And when you look at the map, you think of the world much differently than if you were to just fly from place to place. And that's something that we enjoyed, and we're happy to see this time too. I'll grab our laptop here. I want to get right into the numbers and just quickly tell you how much money we spent on this trip. The grand total is 3,149 euros. But some of that was like before the trip and some of it was during the trip. So during the actual trip, we spent 2,101 euro. One of your questions was, how do you keep track of expenses? I have a spreadsheet that I shared briefly in the video where we talked about how much the round the world trip costs. So during our travels, and also just during our regular life, I always write down all of our expenses, all of our everything that we earn, and keep track of everything in pretty great detail. So the biggest expenses were all related to the car. Gas in Europe is pretty expensive. The cheapest we paid in Europe, I think, was like a Euro 3 or something like that, a Euro 6.
Yeah, in Poland.
Yeah, and the most expensive I think was like almost 180 for a liter of gas in Germany.
Yeah, I think 185.
Yeah, so yeah, in France the gas was really expensive, so we spent a lot on that, and in some places we spent like more, almost the same on the paid roads as we spend on gas. So a lot of Europe has paid roads. Sometimes you just buy a sticker that you put on your window, and you can drive as much as you want, like in Switzerland or Slovenia or Czech Republic. But in some places like Italy and France, you pay for every kilometer basically. They constantly have the toll booths, and you pay. So on parking and paid roads, most of this was just paid roads. We tried to pay as little for parking as possible, of course. $339. So just on the gas, the parking, the paid roads. So this is all related to the car, the expenses. It's like 63% of everything that we spent, just like while we were in Europe. And everything else really is not that big. Like considering 47 days is like a month and a half. So on groceries we spent 324 euros. On restaurants just 123 euros. I was surprised because I felt like we didn't go like a lot to restaurants, but we went many times. Like mostly fast food. But that's the cheapest thing in most places. In some places, it's like the only thing that's open, like on a Sunday. The next biggest expense was accommodations, which is 124 euros. That may sound like a strange number to you because it's Europe, but a lot of the hotels that we stayed in, well, all of them, I guess, that we stayed in, we contacted them and we worked out a deal where we could stay there for free if we showed their hotel in our videos. So we actually calculated, we stayed for free in hotels 17 nights. And Eva ran all the numbers to like figure out how much it would have cost us if we had paid, and it worked out to be
1,609.
Yeah, 1,609 euros. So it would have been far more expensive, I guess, like 50% more expensive if we had stayed in those hotels, yeah, and paid for them. But of course, if we were paying, we probably would have stayed in cheaper places. But we're very grateful to these lovely hotels that were happy to have us stay with them.
Yeah. Also, we were staying with the people, with our friends and friends of friends, with our subscribers, and it was a nice experience too.
Of course, yes. A shout out to all of the people who hosted us in their homes. It was great. And everything else is really just the small number. So cell service, 51 euros. But I think like half of that was for data in Monaco and Switzerland. We didn't realize that our plan didn't cover those countries. We got a SIM card in Lithuania. And it's kind of a long story, but make sure you check that out if you're getting a SIM card in Europe, because those countries are not in the European Union, although they're in the Schengen zone, so you can enter without showing a passport, but you're paying a bunch for data. I think it was like the most we paid was like 20 euro cents a megabyte or something. It was insane. So we were in those countries for like 2 days, and we paid like 30 euros or something like that. And then we bought some clothes, 66 euros, like just stuff that wasn't available back home, and yeah, that's about it. Transportation, of course. We tried to walk when we could, but sometimes we paid for the metro or for buses, etc. So 55 euros there, and that's it. And then just quickly in terms of the expenses pre-trip, those were, a lot of them were related to the car. So I broke it down here. We have 424 euros is for the car basically. So we got what they call a green card. It's basically just insurance that lets you drive your car around Europe. So that was $134 or for euros for 2 months, I believe. Then we had to get this power of attorney so that we could take a car out of the country that doesn't belong to us, another 21 euros. Inspection of the vehicle, 13 euros. Car insurance, it's actually good for a whole year, 175 euros, which is really cheap compared to like American prices or whatever. But anyways, that's what we had to pay to just insure the car for the whole year. We didn't split it up to like figure out what it would be worth for 2 months, because if you did just 2 months, it would cost a lot more. So I don't know. We had to pay that anyway, and then we got an oil change and a checkup for about 80 euros. So that was most of the cost. And then of course before going to Europe, Eva didn't have a European visa at the time, so we spent 37 euros on that. But in order to do that, you also need medical insurance, which is 65 euros just for the time that we were in Europe. And yeah, I also got an international driver's license, which costs 17 euros plus 3 euros to send it to Canada. And yeah, international driver's permit actually is what it's called. If anybody doesn't know what that is, it's actually, I always thought it was just like some new driver's license. It's not really, it's just a translation of your driver's license. So you have to carry your regular driver's license, so in my case it's Canadian, and the international driving permit, which just has like a translation in many languages of what your license says. And that's it. And then I had to get another Russian visa to come back to Russia. So that was another 75 euros. And we did that in Italy. So that's about 200 euros on extra like documents that we needed for the trip.
So that's about it, about expenses. And we really enjoyed our trip in Europe.
Actually, yeah, one thing I didn't say is that it was my first time really in Western Europe. So, like I've been to Ukraine and Russia and Bulgaria, and I'd been to Finland once for a couple of days and Germany for a few hours. But other than that, like I hadn't been to Western Europe, although I'd been to a lot of places in the world. So it was cool to finally go there and see the things that I've heard and seen so much about. And now we want to answer some of your questions. We asked if you had any questions on Instagram. If you're not subscribed, there's always a link in the description to our Instagram, and also here on YouTube, that new function where you can just like do a post. We asked there. So we have some of your questions, and we have the laptop, and we will see what we can do in answering them. The first one is from Instagram. Football Guy asks, I'm from Las Vegas. Hey, that's cool. We've been there. Great place. Mm-hmm. I love your personalities and your videos. Thank you. Do you ever wish you would spend more time in each city? One day doesn't seem enough to see and experience the many beautiful sights each city has to offer.
But no doubts, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. That's something, even though we've traveled so much, that's something I knew it would happen in this trip, and it did happen, is that everything was like squished together, like, I mean, the schedule, so it just was like back to back, we just want to like see more, we're already here, we're already in Czech Republic, like Germany's close, we better go to Germany, we're already in Germany, let's go there. And honestly, like, it's probably better just to do less places and spend more time in each place. But that's something that we haven't done yet. We're still like on the like buffet stage. So you just like sort of try a little bit of everything, and then hopefully, in the future we'll go back to the places that we like the most. And we look forward to that. But definitely, that's a good observation, and I do not recommend spending one day in each city.
Yeah,
but
it's better. Sorry.
But if you do, like, it's cool to do it, but not a lot, and just do it like once, and then go back to where you like.
I think it's better not to have strict plan.
Yeah.
It's just better to go somewhere and to figure it out, like at the place what you want to do, where you want to go, and if you want to stay longer, just stay longer. But yeah.
Yeah, that would be ideal. Yeah, and we probably will do that, but just stuff like, especially where we were contacting hotels, we kind of had to know in advance which days, and then once we'd already gotten a reservation, it was sort of tough to just like change our mind, like, we'll come another day, okay? Mm-hmm. So yeah, but in the future we'll definitely try other ways of traveling. What surprised you the most about Europe? What did you not expect at all when planning this trip? There's a question from Aaron Schultens. Sorry if I'm saying that wrong.
I don't know. Probably nothing. Maybe.
Well, it had already been to Europe.
But maybe there's a thing that because I'm from Russia, I get used to like the fact that every time when I want to leave Russia to some other country, I need to go through this process of showing my passport, showing my bags, and it's very official in the airport or in the train. And this time, while we were traveling by car through Europe, for me it was like so amazing that there was no borders, that you can go from Czech Republic to Germany, for example, and you don't show your passport to anybody. People don't check your bags, your car, and it's just like I felt so free there that I can go from Latvia to Spain or to Portugal, and I don't need to go through this process every time. And I think it's wonderful not having borders. It's just, I knew that.
There are borders, but there's no like checks usually.
Yeah. There might be some checks if I don't know, police officers, they want to make sure that you have like valid driver license or something like this. But yeah, it's really nice. I knew about it before, but I never experienced it. So it was really cool.
Definitely cool.
I don't know what.
But you did experience, right? You rode on the bus.
Yeah, but still,
You ever did a bus tour around Europe, and then you've also been to Europe several other times, but still, not driving a car.
Yeah, and not 15 countries.
Yes, true. Yeah, true. I wouldn't say that I was surprised by something, but I always had in my mind in the past that someday I'd like to live in Europe. And I just love the idea of the European Union that not only can you travel, but you could, if you're a citizen of the EU, you can just go and live and work in any country and have healthcare. And I think that's so cool. I can't say that I completely changed my mind, but and I can't say I was disappointed, but I don't know. I can't say either that Europe like won my heart and that I definitely want to go and live there for a long time. I can't put my finger on it, but it was just like maybe slightly underwhelmed. Like lots of places have pros and cons, and sometimes the cons like stood out more to me than other things. But on the other hand, we mostly visited big cities, and I really would like to visit some smaller cities, and but maybe I was like almost like less impressed by Europe than I expected to be. But there's that's not to say that there's not a lot of things that are worth seeing there. So I don't know. It's hard to express, but that it is what it is at this point, and it also depends on your mood. So maybe next time I'll have a different experience, and we'll want to stay there forever. Who knows? Our friend Davide, hey, from Italy, asked, "Did you notice any differences between the mentality of people in Europe and people in some of the poorer countries you visited in your trip around the world?"
I think we didn't communicate much with local people this time. I mean, we were communicating with the people whom we were staying with, but sometimes they were Russians or half.
More often than not, they were foreigners, right?
Yeah. But I think that for example, in Africa, in countries like Africa is very big and countries are very different from each other. But in Ethiopia or Tanzania or Sudan, I felt that people they have different problems, and their topics, what they usually discuss, for example, while they're having a meal, the topics they're different from what people discuss in Europe, because in Europe people might discuss about sexism or about I don't know human rights, but when people are hungry they don't discuss this kind of stuff. Or for example, it's what I felt in Canada once your mom turned on the radio and they were discussing about dogs, like how some dogs problem, and I was thinking, wow, I never heard people discussing dogs problem in Russia, on the radio, because they're different problems. So I felt that people in Europe, they kind of, they have different, just different problems on the different level, and it's very interesting to hear them and to listen them and to, yeah.
Yeah, I think like again, we didn't talk to locals that much, unfortunately. That's another thing that we definitely want to do when we go back to Europe. But and there's different. They're definitely like Europe is very different. So like some places in Europe you go and it's like really like almost unicultural. I don't know, like everybody's like a certain color and they all have their own culture and like they seem quite like unified in that. But then you come to some other places and they're really diverse and like I don't know, like the Netherlands or something, like they're just like people seem like really open and like there's so many different cultures and they're like accepting of different I don't know races and like sexual orientations
Or
and
lifestyles.
yeah, in general, like some places just seem like really open.
Yeah, they don't judge. They don't judge people, and they don't ask questions about your lifestyle. Like, yeah, they don't judge. But it's hard to generalize because
yeah, I was gonna say it's a big generalization.
Yeah, we don't like to do that because in each country there are like wonderful people, and yeah, it's just.
But one thing, like the fact that we were able to travel around so freely in Europe, like Europeans can too, and you can feel that, even in the places that are like more like stuck in one culture. It sounds like negative, but they still like travel and like speak many languages and like they know a lot about their neighboring countries and stuff like that. So that's definitely different because in some of the poorer countries especially. We met people who never like left their one state or province or whatever in their country, and like we like in 3 days had visited 4 states or whatever, stuff like that happened when we were in poorer countries. In Europe, we didn't notice that, but I'm sure there are lots of people that don't travel in Europe, but they definitely get around more. Here's another question, actually in Russian, but basically it says, where did you have the most like the best impressions or like the strongest impressions from your trip through Europe or through Russia? I don't know. Maybe like you're referring to the trip we had through Russia in, I guess, a year ago, basically. We took the train from Vladivostok to Moscow. We also hitchhiked from Moscow to Ulan-Ude another time, to Mongolia after that. I don't know, it's hard to say. Like, Russia is very diverse, which I don't think people realize. Even Russians don't realize that. Like, they live in their city and they don't realize that there are so many different places in Russia, and especially the republics are what stand out to me. I think there's like over 20 of them. I'll put the number here. But they all, as far as I know, have like another official language. And so like the signs on the roads will be in Russian and the local language. And like in most of these republics, the people actually know the language, they speak it. And sometimes like, they have schools in the language, and yeah, like they have their own like local foods and traditions, and
clothes.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's hard to compare. It's just different experience, and I think it's so different.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And both of them were wonderful. Like for me, for the person who was born in Moscow, who didn't know about like that Russia is so diverse, for me it was like a big invention. I don't know. Like
not an invention, but it was like eye-opening. Discovery.
Eye-opening discovery, and I was really enjoying meeting many different Russian people, and just knowing more about my own country. It was amazing. Yeah. And sometimes I felt like a foreigner, like a tourist.
Yeah, they would say like, Eva, you speak really funny, or something like that. But for her, like they speak funny. So yeah. The last question from Instagram was also in Russian, and it's basically, have you ever thought about buying a motorhome and traveling in a motorhome, and you don't have to worry about apartments or hotels? Yes, definitely. We definitely we will travel someday in a motorhome. I'm not sure where or how, but we will, definitely. We would love to. On to questions from YouTube. Maybe you can read the first one here, from Freedom Cheeseburger Man.
What was your favorite and least favorite countries to go through? There was no least favorite, for me.
No.
But my favorite countries, and only based on my own experience.
Of course, you're not going to base it on somebody else's experience.
Okay. This time there were Poland, Slovenia, and Holland.
Yeah, the Netherlands. Well, the Netherlands is the name of the country.
Yeah, Netherlands.
But we were mostly in Holland, as far as I understand. That's part of the country, the Netherlands.
But it doesn't mean that I didn't like other countries. It's just I mentioned those countries where I felt most, comfortable, and I enjoyed, landscapes and the infrastructure and the way how people treat each other, and prices. Of course, it's something what we think about, prices. So, for example, France. I really like France, but I didn't like that prices were so high. I mean, comparing to the neighbor countries. So yeah, for me it's like.
Yeah.
Top 3.
I would say, I don't know if I could do 3. But definitely I agree with Poland and the Netherlands. Like, Poland just really surprised us. We imagined Poland as like a gray place that's sort of like a bit poor and has a lot of problems. But in our brief experience in Poland and in Warsaw and Gdansk, like, it was not gray. It was beautiful. The infrastructure is great. I guess it's thanks to the European Union, but whatever. We really liked it, and the people were so nice, Poland was awesome. We were really impressed by Poland, and we want to go back to Poland. And then the same thing in the Netherlands. Like, I didn't imagine it as a great place, but it was so nice. I don't know what it was, just like the vibe that we got there. It just seemed like laid back, and people were cool, and I don't know, the food was delicious, and the prices were more reasonable than like in France, for example, or even in Belgium. And yeah, we definitely want to go back to the Netherlands. A third one, I don't know. Slovenia was cool, but I don't think it's like way up there for me. But we were surprised. Slovenia is gorgeous. Like, just all these like mountains and hills and green, and yeah, nice place. Lucas Machado asked if I go on a world trip like you guys did, will I grow a monster wild Viking beard like yours? I don't know, man. It's genetic, everybody has different genes. Rick Limbeek asked, where did you have your favorite meal, and which country surprised you the most, and why? So we basically already answered the second part. Does any meal stand out to you?
I don't know. There's so much food in Europe which are very delicious. And, pizza in Italy, and many, nothing nothing comes to mind. Like nothing.
Yeah, everywhere has their own unique food, but in general, like the quality of food in Europe is really high
Yeah.
in my opinion. Like,
Hmm.
yeah, 'cause in Russia sometimes that's a problem. Like there's no guarantee of how good the quality your food will be. Like there is high quality food, but then sometimes it's like I don't know what I just ate, you know. So in Europe
Yeah.
overall, great food. Like in the grocery stores, when you're looking and choosing things, like the things are way higher quality, and that's nice.
I think I won't eat, like, for example, raw meat in Russia,
Yeah.
just because I don't trust what kind of meat is it. But I mean, not what kind of meat, but just I don't know. But in Europe, I did try raw meat,
Yeah.
and it was delicious, you know.
Right.
And also, we really like John and I. We like having like different homemade meals with the local people. It was really nice. I remember our experience in Italy or in Slovenia or in other many in Spain. It's always really cool.
That guy asked, "What is the best thing about France when you're there, or each of the countries that you visited?" I don't think we have time in this video to talk about each of the countries. Maybe we'll do it in another video, but I don't know. What's the best thing about France? Um, Probably the food, I guess. I don't know, like the bread and the cheeses and stuff like that. Just like it's good.
Yeah, but there are many things which are good about France. Infrastructure, beautiful roads, nice gas stations with a beautiful and clean toilets, restaurants, people, beautiful language, which sounds really beautiful for my Russian ears, and food. Yeah, as you mentioned, and I really like. I know that like. Europe has some. It's like discussable topic in Europe, but I really like that in Europe you can meet, especially in France, you can meet people from all over the world, and you can, if you want to have, I don't know, Georgian food or Armenian food or Turkish food or Iranian food, you can always find a restaurant, a cafe with people from who immigrated from Iran or Turkey,
Yeah.
and you can buy local food, like their local food, and they're very friendly. So I like this.
I like that too. Yeah, like when we were in Marseille, like it seemed like every restaurant was a
Yeah.
foreign restaurant. It was cool. It was really cool.
Yeah.
Then compared to having your complete full beard in the end, how was it growing it out in the beginning? Did it ever seem to get in the way of your activities? From Liz is dead. I don't know. Yeah, the beard, like when it got really long, of course, sometimes it was a bit of a problem. There's a video called Beard Problems. If you haven't seen it, I'll link to it down below and up above. I think it's on this side, up above. And yeah, it gets in the way a bit. Having a short beard, I don't find gets in the way at all, really. Just, you get food in it sometimes, and yeah, I don't know. Beards are cool. I like beards. What do you do for a living? Shayron asked. Right now we do YouTube, so we make some money off of this. The ads that you see before and during the video, we get paid for that, so thank you. But also the main thing that I did before and continue to do is I teach English on Skype at the moment. And I also do some translating, especially from Russian to English. There's just a couple more questions. A lot of them we've already answered. How do you manage your finances? We answered. How much did you spend during your trip? We answered. Did you experience anything bad? I am from Turkey, by the way. I liked your videos so much. I wish you will be happy every time with your family. Thanks. Thanks for Marco. Turkey is awesome. We love Turkey and we want to go back. Did we experience anything bad? No. Nothing bad. Thank you. Thankfully. Thank you. Why am I saying thank you? Wasn't there ever a time where you felt like splurging on money? I don't know.
What is splurging?
Did you feel like splurging? Like, did you ever want to spend more?
Ah, okay.
Were you ever like, oh, like I'd like to just like, go to a super expensive restaurant or buy tickets to a, I don't know, expensive ballet or something?
So I didn't get the question. Okay, now I understand. I don't think so. I feel that if we would have more money, we would have gone to, I don't know, some entertainment places more.
Like concerts or something?
Like concerts, yeah, for example, because they're pricey in Europe. Or we probably would go more, we would went more to the restaurants.
For me, I don't think so. There wasn't like a time where like, I would like to spend a bunch of money now. No.
Yeah, there was no time for me like that, to like no specific time, but just in general.
Yeah.
I was thinking I would have spent more if I had more,
Yeah, restaurants, well, hotels were okay. We didn't have to worry about that, but yeah, restaurants, I guess, and maybe concerts. Like, though we looked at concerts, we almost went to a Black Eyed Peas concert, but I was like, now Fergie's not with them. I didn't realize that, and when I found that out, I watched some clips from videos from concerts that they had just recently done, and like, it doesn't look that good. So, yeah, so we didn't go, but. Where did you sleep most of the time? We already answered. And how did your beard grow so fast within a week? I didn't. I don't use anything to make my beard grow faster. I don't think it grows that fast within a week. Maybe you're confused. But yeah, like in a week, it's not that long. This is like I've been trimming this beard, but this is probably like maybe at least a month. I'd say about a month growth. You could say. And yeah,
I think more.
More?
Yeah.
What I have now?
Yeah.
Maybe more than a month, you see.
Yeah.
And maybe a list of essentials. We'll think about doing like a list like of things that you need when you're traveling and stuff. But for the most part, what do you need when you're traveling? Your passport, some money would be helpful. Like that's it. Clothes, whatever you need to wear. Like take less than you think you need, and you'll be fine.
An open mind. I don't know how to put it, but just be open to people who surround you, because local people can make your experience in any country just amazing, and they can open the country for you just from different angles, different sides. And hanging out with locals, I think it's one of the best things you can do.
That's true.
In the street. So thank you guys for being with us, for watching this video.
Yeah, I feel like it's probably gotten a bunch darker because we're filming just in front of the window, but I think you can still see us.
Yeah.
That's it for today. I don't know. Let us know what's on your mind, how you're enjoying our channel. Why did you subscribe to us? A lot of you just saw me with a long beard. What do you want to see? What are our plans? We're not going to get too deep into that right now. We have some announcements coming up soon. But I finally in December got temporary residency in Russia, so I don't need to like come and go every 90 days. So yeah, we're here for now, for probably at least a few more months, and then we'll see. We'll definitely announce that soon. Announce some of our plans. Thank you for watching. Like this video. Don't forget to subscribe. Click that bell if you haven't already, so you can get notifications when our new videos come out. And thanks for being with us, guys. We love you. Peace.